Happy New Year! Welcome back to 2015, and I hope you all had a great Christmas and a great New Year. Hope you got a lot of presents. Hope you ate a lot of food, and you're still getting thirsty for the 2015 metal scene. Anyway, we're going to start this year off with an interview, and I'm speaking to a band that's in Australia as we speak, called The Marchers. They're doing a tour. They're over in Perth. They're starting tonight on the 9th of January, and I just got off the phone to the lead singer, Sean Harris, and it's a 15-minute interview, and we're going to talk about why they're here. The reason why they are here is because they're celebrating the 10th anniversary of their breakthrough debut album called Yvonne Dale Killed the Locals. And it came out a while ago, but they're bringing it out again. They just released it again, and also they put that album on vinyl as well. Also, if you haven't got your tickets, I demand you to go and get them. They're still going while they are here. They're in Adelaide tomorrow night, which is a Saturday, down at Fowler's Live, and they're going right through the East Coast from Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. Grab your tickets at all your participating outlets, and also go and check them out. This is a band, when I first listened to them with the first album, they had a bit of a sound between a Sugar Ray to an early Good Charlotte vibe. And Sean basically said, yeah, that's probably it, because there was a bit of a scene going on when the album came out that they're all trying to blend in. And he did mention that Sugar Ray and Good Charlotte were two bands that he were listening to at the time when this album was released. Well, like I said, they're out here in Australia. They're called The Marchers. It starts out over in Perth tonight as I speak. And we want to say thanks to Sean and the band for joining us on Blood, Sweat and Metal. And I will say this might not be everyone's cup of tea, but for those who in the punk scene and they like a bit of punk, this is for you. And for those who don't like punk, well, sorry, but I'm here to do everything metal, whether it's metal, punk, death, hardcore, thrash, whatever. It's my job for you guys to listen to sit back and relax and probably get educated by some of these bands that you probably haven't heard before. And you'll probably go and buy the album later down the track in your local record stores, where it's JB Hi-Fi, wowhd.com, or your local independent record outlet stores out in Australia. Well, without further ado, I'm going to introduce it straight now. We're going to talk to Sean and sit back, relax, as we take you through a bit of a journey of why they're here and a bit of their musical background. So, here it is, The Marchers featuring Sean Harris on Blood, Sweat and Metal. Well, guys, we've got an awesome pleasure and an awesome guest to join us on our show. They're a band that's doing Australia, and it's from The Marchers, and I'm talking to Sean Harris. Good evening, Sean, and welcome to Australia.
Hey, what's cracking, Jamie? Thank you.
Yeah. And I want to say, man, with this tour, I'm hearing some word out from the record label. On the tour, you're going to be doing the first album in its full because it's the 10th year anniversary. Just explain a little bit more about that so the fans of our show can get a bit of a rundown of basically what you guys are doing on this tour.
Cool. Well, I mean, that's what we ended up doing in the States, so this is the 10-year anniversary of us recording our first record. And, you know, the record we did on our own, and it sort of took us by surprise with the response to it. We ended up signing to Epitaph Records, and to our surprise, they wanted to put out that record again, even though we'd already put it out a year before. So they licensed it from us, and I mean, that was like a dream to us. We'd grown up listening to Bad Religion and Rancid and all these bands on Epitaph, so it was like it was insane to be putting out this record we had done in our basements and at our friends' like apartments and stuff on that label. But the cool thing about licensing a record is that after the period of license, it comes back, and so we realized that hey, I think we completely own our first record now, and we decided to put it out on vinyl and do a show to commemorate that and sell some of the vinyls, and that turned into turned into a bunch of like a multiple city tour in the U.S. and the whole thing sold out really quickly. And the shows were insane. Yeah, for those shows, we ended up we played the first record front to back in its entirety. It was just something we tried out the first show, and it went over so well that we stuck with it. We're going to try that in Perth tonight, and if it works, that's what we're going to do. If it doesn't work, if people are like, what the hell is this album? then we might mix it up. We'll see what happens.
Well, going on, just talking about the first album, when I first heard it when it came out, I had a bit of a flashback of two bands joining to one, because the sound sounds to me a cross between Sugar Ray and the early Good Charlotte. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would. I mean, that makes sense. It definitely has like the like sort of. There are definitely some punk elements mixed with some kind of like melodic, almost like third wave kind of ska remnant sounds that might be like, you know, the Sugar Ray kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, when I was in high school, those were both bands that I you know, listened to. So cool.
Yeah. No, because when I listened to that first album, it just grew on me, because when the music was coming out around that time of the first album that you guys released called Eve Von Dahl, Kill the Locals, there was a lot of bands just following that type of music. Now, I'm not saying that you were trying to compete, because that on its own, everyone competes in the music world, but
right.
The sound that was coming out around that time was basically fresh. Everyone was having that same type of sound, like I mentioned before, Sugar Ray and the early Good Charlotte and some other bands, and especially you guys on Matches. You guys started a platform of a new punk sound where it was a bit of jazz feel in there, a bit of blues, a bit of rock, and it all blends in. And that's what I got from listening to the first album.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. We were sort of aware that we were making music in sort of a time when all of this felt really possible to kind of meld together, and I think part of that is owed to the fact that we were doing the record in like a DIY sense and recording it on our own with these kind of like early versions of, like, it wasn't even Pro Tools yet, it was like Cakewalk and like Avid. It was these like home recording systems. So we kind of, just the format of like digitally tracking your own record and how like the waves turn up on the screen and you've got all these plugins at hand and everything. It just felt like anything you could do, anything was possible. There was just that air about that era of recording music. Recording music at your home basically is what we did, so I think that bred us to experiment a lot. You know, we did there's a lot of kind of subtleties of us like kind of cutting up takes, and it wasn't, you know, we're not cutting tape like previous generations would have. So, you know, we're like cutting up vocals and like doing some weird stuff with like tuning effects and some, you know, we were just playing around. It was like a big playground, and we didn't have anyone to answer to, so we got to experiment a lot. So I think within the album there are a bunch of different sounds that kind of end up melding together that sort of formed the sound of our band, and that was just kind of us experimenting with a lot of different ideas and styles that had come to influence us, you know.
You also won an award not long ago, a few years back now, to say, of the best music video of the year. How did you guys receive that, and what has it done now to make this band do what you do now?
I think so. I think you're talking about the Salty Eyes video, which was I think the Vox Populi vote. So it was like a fan favorite video of the year, and yeah, that video got it was like sort of the early days of YouTube even that we put that out, and it was a video that we produced ourselves, and we did it for less than $1,000, which was sort of that's a small budget.
Yeah.
And we'd collected a bunch of televisions from kind of recycling centers. We kind of fudged the truth and said that we were like a recycling program, and we were taking old TVs and this kind of thing, and we ended up collecting 100 odd televisions, and we put the lyrics to our songs on VHS tapes and hit play on the televisions, and ended up throwing, dropping, kicking all of the TVs, and yeah, I don't know. It was just a creative idea. We wanted to do actually a version of Bob Dylan's "Subterranean Homesick Blues," which was kind of recognized as one of the first or one of the early music videos, in which he's just kind of rifling through the lyrics of the song on big white pieces of cardboard.
Yeah.
And so we were like, what if we did that exact same thing with TVs? Do a version of the first video ever in our own sort of way. And it worked out because the world was sort of making the transition from having these big boxy TVs to flat screens. So we actually found that it was easy to come upon these things, and many of them still worked. So yeah, we did that. It was a lot of work, and it was like a thing that that we did aside from our label. Epitaph kind of knew that we were doing it, and they were like, good luck, And then we finished the video, and they saw it, and they were like, holy shit, this is great, you guys, and
I think some of the fans question we would like to ask after this tour is done and completed, will there be a time for a new Matches album to be in the process of recording? Will there be a new album coming out? Because you haven't done one since 2008, if I'm correct.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I mean, we sort of were surprised at the reception to our announcement of doing a show, and it turned into all of these shows. And so we're definitely open to the idea of doing some more stuff. I think the next thing that we sort of flirted with was Decomposer. There's a 10-year anniversary for Decomposer, which was our second album, which is not this next year, but the year after. So, we toyed around with doing vinyl for that as well, if we can swing it with Epitaph, which would be really cool. I'd love to have our whole collection on vinyl. I don't know if I'm not against the idea of doing new music. I haven't. The whole thing has been so much about this first album and the kind of nostalgia of the whole thing. I don't know if I don't want to do anything, and I don't want to force the issue if our fans aren't if that's not what they want. You know what I mean? It's like we've done this whole thing, all these shows and everything, to kind of honor what the band meant to all of these fans, all of these people over the course of the years. So I don't want to ruin that, but I'm having a lot of fun playing with these guys, and that could be cool. So it's nothing that we've ruled out either. I just don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the reception is, and we definitely pay a lot of attention to our being contacted by fans and people posting on our site, etc. So if you want to hear that, request it.
I want to say thank you for joining us, John, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Sounds good, man. Thanks.
All right, then. You take care.
All right, cheers.